What did I ever do to you except love you? And this is how you treated us? You say we turned on you? But you turned on us. He let you into his home, loved you, honored, obeyed you, and you violated him and murdered him. You are guilty.
Hello everybody and welcome back. Or welcome if you are new. It's been a minute. It's been a couple weeks since I sat down and filmed. Work has just been working. I got a new job and I'm still trying to adjust to the change in times. Sure. But hopefully now, fingers crossed, we're back on a roll. We've got our pattern down. Fingers crossed. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about the murder of Stephen Beard. It's also a story about how two twins, obviously the twins, let's start that again, two sisters that are twins that didn't want to stay in hiding forever. They managed to outsmart their mother. I'm going to leave you on that little cliffhanger for right now. We'll get there eventually. I'm going to leave you there for now. So yes, if you haven't already, hit subscribe down below. You might as well. I upload every Wednesday. I feel like I can't say that right now because I haven't uploaded for the last 2 Wednesdays. But hopefully we're back on a roll, like I said. So yes, subscribe. You don't want to miss a video, so hit the notification bell as well. We talk all things true crime on this channel. Without further ado, shall we get into it? Like I said, this is all about the murder of Stephen Beard. So, the year is 1993 and we are in Austin, Texas. And a 13-year-old girl called Christina is living with her mother and stepfather, Celeste and Stephen. Christina is also a twin. She has a twin sister called Jennifer, but they do not live together at this point in time because of a custody battle that ended up separating them. So Christina went and lived with the mother and Jennifer went and lived with their biological father in Washington State. This wasn't easy for the twins, as you can imagine, because, you know, they're identical twins. They described themselves as like built-in best friends. So living hundreds of miles away from each other couldn't have been easy for them. Fast forward to July 1996 and the twins are finally reuniting after 2 years apart. They hadn't seen each other for over 2 years. They planned a trip to go and stay with their grandparents in California over the summer. But things didn't really go as planned. I mean, they got to California, they got to their grandparents' house, but when they called their father to tell them, you know, we got here, we're safe, everything's all good, they couldn't get hold of him. They kept trying and trying and trying every so often, but couldn't get a hold of him. Eventually, 2 days go past and they still haven't been able to get hold of their father. It's at this point that they receive the news that their father had been found dead in his home, and he left a note detailing how much he had been struggling for years. And as you can imagine, this left the twins in a complete state of shock. They didn't see this coming, obviously. And for Jennifer, this was even, I don't want to say even worse because obviously it's also Christina's father, but Jennifer was the one living with him and now she had to completely move away from where they lived together to now go and move in with Christina and Celeste and Stephen. But things weren't all so bad in this situation because Stephen very quickly took on the role of Jennifer's father. He was very welcoming, took her in, and they bonded very well. Like on Sundays, they'd even just go out for breakfast together. Just the two of them and just have a bit of one-on-one time. He even went on to adopting both of the girls and giving them rings that he had made for them, which I think Jennifer still wears now. So clearly Stephen and his efforts didn't go unnoticed by the girls. They really appreciated him and the role he took on when he really didn't have to. It's now 2:30 a.m. on October 2nd, 1999, and Jennifer is spending the night at her boyfriend's house, and Christina is currently asleep at home in her bed it's a normal night. It isn't long before Christina's bedroom door swings open and her mother comes barging in, screaming, "Someone's at the door." Christina jumps out of bed straight away and runs to see what's going on. And all she can see is just white flashing lights coming from outside, just all around the house. So she runs to the phone and calls 911 because obviously what is happening? And she tells them that there's somebody banging on the door and there's sirens coming from outside, as well as all of the flashing lights that they can see. It's now that the 911 operator informs Christina that the people banging on the door and all the sirens going on are in fact the police, because they'd received a call from somebody in the house just moments earlier. This is the phone call they received.
What is going on there?
I'm in bed.
How did
I'm in awful pain.
Okay, are you there by yourself?
My wife is somewhere in the house. I can't find her.
So after being informed by the 911 operator that it's the police, Christina runs to the door and lets them in, obviously. They seem pretty urgent right now. And they immediately ask her if her dad's home. She just responds yeah, he's upstairs. And they all rush upstairs to the bedroom. And Celeste just follows along. And when they all got to the bedroom, there were already paramedics in there seeing to Stephen. A reporter called Jason Spencer stated he needed immediate medical attention and they needed to act quickly if he was going to survive. The paramedics are trying everything they can do to help him, but he's losing a lot of blood very quickly. So they airlift him to a hospital nearby. Whilst everyone is rushing around after Stephen, one of the police officers starts to look around a little bit, and they find something very strange. They find a shotgun shell next to his side of the bed. So now their question has been answered, because they're thinking, what's going on? What's happened to him? And now, because of what this police officer has found, they now know that he has been shot. Christina immediately calls Jennifer to tell her what's going on, because obviously Jennifer's not there. She's at her boyfriend's house. And like I said before, they're both very close with Stephen. So obviously Christina's first thought was, Jennifer needs to know. And at this point, the house is completely blocked off because, it's an active crime scene now. Because, this isn't natural causes now. This isn't like he hurt himself. He's been shot. So it's a crime scene. Sorry, I had to do my eyeliner off camera because it's been a while. I knew I was going to be shaky, so I spared you of that pain. Okay, so the crime scene investigators are now doing their walkthrough, and it's looking like somebody has entered through a side door that had been left unlocked. There was no forced entry, it just opened for them. But before they can do any more investigating, they need to take DNA swabs of everything around the house, as well as every family member that could have possibly been there at the time of the shooting. Meaning Christina, Jennifer, and their mother. Now everyone's thinking, who could possibly shoot Steve in the middle of the night, in his own house, in his bed, but on their way out of the house? After everything that's happened, and they leave the investigators to do their thing, Jennifer, Christina, and Celeste all walk out of the house, and as they do, their mother turns to them and says, if they ask you who you think might have done it, don't mention Tracy. Now at this part of my research, I'm thinking, who's Tracy? Well, Tracy Talton is her full name, and only 6 months before this attack, Celeste met Tracy. Tracy got very, very close with the family. She'd go to birthday parties, family dinners, and even went to the twins' high school graduation. It wasn't just Celeste that got close to Tracy, so did the twins. Christina said that the relationship between her mother and Tracy was a lot different than what they made out to the twins. It was clear to the twins that Tracy wanted a lot more than just a platonic relationship with Celeste. Okay, now back to the night of the attack. And the twins are currently on their way to the hospital. After what their mother had said just moments before, they're now very suspicious of Tracy. Because why weren't they allowed to bring up Tracy to the police? And why did their mother make a point of saying that? But at the hospital, the twins start talking to the detectives. And the detectives ask them, who do you think shot your dad? And they responded by saying, "My mother doesn't want me to mention this, but I'm not supposed to mention Tracy Talton." And so after this, Tracy Talton was then investigated. And because she was so close to the family, over the last 6 months, this made her a prime suspect in the case. The story isn't completely adding up to the police at this point because there's no clear motive for her to do this, to sneak into the house in the middle of the night and shoot this man in his sleep. So now they're thinking there must be someone else involved. And because they're investigating Tracy, they get a search warrant for her home. Using the evidence that they had, which was a 20 gauge shotgun shell, they wanted to question and see if she had a shotgun. So that is one of the first things they asked her when she opened the door. She said yes, so then the detectives obviously followed that up with saying, "Well, can we see it?" She ummed and ahed for a few seconds, but eventually handed them a shotgun. It was a Franchi 20 gauge shotgun that even had her name engraved on it. They end up taking the shotgun for further analysis, and it's days before they hear anything about it. So everyone's just pacing back and forth, pretty much, just tell us, is it the shotgun? But eventually they get the news that the shotgun that they took from Tracy was in fact the shotgun that shot Stephen in his bed. 5 days after Stephen had been shot, so October 8th, 1999, Tracy Talton is arrested. They charge her with attempted murder because, obviously, but her being found out did not make her want to talk in the slightest. The investigators are trying to get more information about what happened, why it happened, but Tracy is refusing to say a word. They wanted her to talk about who else was involved because it's clear to them that she clearly didn't work alone, but silence is all they get in return from her. It's not long before all of the news outlets break the news about Tracy and what the investigators are currently thinking and where they're at. So now the public are just very worried that the real killer, or like one of the killers, are still walking free. They're still out there. Stephen ends up spending a few months in hospital after the attack, and as much as he tried to recover and everybody around him tried to do their very best, he sadly passed away as a result of his injuries. The twins and their mother go to pick out a casket for the funeral, but what happened while they were there left the twins in complete shock. While the twins thought that they were just going there to pick out a casket for their stepfather, their mother ended up purchasing 2 pink caskets for Jennifer and Christina, with their mother telling them that, you know, they needed to pick out a casket for when they die. And Jennifer can even remember thinking, like, are we going to be in those sooner than I think? And over a short period of time, the twins notice that their mother's behaviour is becoming very disturbing and erratic. And on February 16th, 2000, Celeste turns to her twin daughters and says, "Hey, why don't we all kill ourselves?" And then pulls out a knife and stabs herself in the leg. The twins are obviously panicking. They just saw their mother stab herself in the leg. So they call 911 and ask for immediate medical attention for their mother. And their mother is driven to the hospital. And she stays there for a few weeks, but this didn't mean that the twins were away from her for a few weeks. No, she would constantly call them over and over and over again, each phone call becoming more disturbing than the last, which led Christina to come up with an idea that later helped the investigators find the real mastermind here. She decides to record the phone calls between her and her mother, because she wanted to show her mother how she was talking to her so that hopefully her mother could turn around and be like, "Oh, I didn't realise I was saying those things. I didn't realise that's how I was coming off. I'm sorry." That never happened, but...
And you will be sorry.
But on one of these phone calls, just as Christina is about to end the recording, her mother reveals a vital bit of information. She says the words, "I hired somebody to kill Tracy."
I hired somebody to kill her.
I hired somebody to kill Tracy. I froze.
Obviously, the twins had these suspicions beforehand because of the way their mother was acting, but this just kind of set everything in stone for them. Like, our mother is capable of this. Now, after a few weeks, Celeste is out of the hospital and the twins are terrified. They had no choice but to literally hide from her. They went into hiding, literally. They cleared their bank accounts so that there would be no trace of them, like when they're spending money. And they stayed in motels, trying their very best to stay away from their mother because she was trying everything to find them. The twins are so terrified of her that they go to the police to get a family violence protection order, which is obviously given to them. They had actual recordings of their mother's threats. Now, fast forward to March 2002, and Tracy breaks her silence. She read in the newspaper that the twins had been granted a family violence protection order, and that was enough for her to cooperate with the investigators, because now it's clear to her that Celeste isn't the woman she thought she was. She tells the investigators that she didn't act alone, which is what they already expected, but hearing it from her, now they have that confession. It was, in fact, Celeste's plan to kill Steve. With Celeste finally breaking her silence and the twins' phone call recordings, the investigators now have enough evidence to arrest Celeste. She was arrested for capital murder on the 28th of March 2002. Now the twins are working so hard with the prosecutors and Tracy to do everything to put their mother behind bars, because they need the jury to agree that she's guilty, because right now all that's happened is she's been arrested. She still needs to go to trial. So they need the outcome of this to be that their mother goes away forever. It's now the 3rd of February 2003 and the trial begins. The twins have to take the stand, which obviously you can imagine wouldn't have been an easy thing to do. Can you imagine having to look your own mother in the eye, knowing what she had done and wanting justice, but also having to be one of the people trying to put her behind bars without feeling guilty because that's your mother? Whilst they are on the stand, the twins detailed everything about their childhoods, describing it as traumatizing, saying that their mother had always suffered with mental health issues and it would often lead to violent outbursts. Another thing that the twins revealed was that Celeste didn't marry Steve for love. It turns out that Steve was actually a multi-millionaire, so she married him for his inheritance. With the twins even asking her at one point, "What would you get if he died?" And she said, "A lot." It was revealed that after only being married for about 6 months, Celeste had already spent $500,000 of Steve's money on just like clothes, jewelry, shoes, bags, stuff like that. $500,000 in 6 months. 8 months before Steve was shot, so February 1999, Celeste apparently had a psychotic breakdown, which then led Celeste being taken to a psychiatric mental hospital in Austin, Texas. And it was here that Celeste met Tracy, and she started to build a relationship with Tracy, saying that she wanted a sexual relationship. Now you might be thinking, she's married. Obviously we know she didn't marry him for love, but she would even go as far to talk badly about the marriage to Tracy, saying that he would abuse her, and would go into so much detail that it actually led Tracy to believing that Celeste was in actual danger in her marriage. She fully manipulated Tracy, giving her like love and affection just so she could use her. Now we're going to go back to the trial, and Tracy is now detailing Celeste's plan to kill Steve to the entire courtroom, including the twins. She said that Celeste showed her like where to park her car, where to enter, how to approach the bedroom, every last detail. Celeste told her what to do, saying that she even wanted her to use her own shotgun. And so she did. She grabbed her shotgun, walked into his bedroom, and shot Steve in his bed, saying that she only shot him once. Now the entire courtroom is in disbelief that a woman like Celeste was sitting right there, that she existed. But Celeste is not fazed. She's not bothered. She's even laughing. But that smile on her face didn't last very long. Her daughters walk up to the front of the courtroom and reveal the most incriminating piece of evidence yet. The recording of Celeste saying the words, "I hired somebody to kill Tracy." And then on March 19th, 2003, after a trial that lasted weeks and a jury that took 3 days to deliberate, Celeste is found guilty of the offence of capital murder. Following this verdict, the twins immediately break down into tears. Like, this has got to be one of the hardest and most conflicting things to go through. That's their mother, and while she's guilty and deserves to be locked up, that's their mother. Christina takes the stand one last time and talks in front of the entire courtroom, but speaks directly to her mother.
What did I ever do to you except love you? And this is how you treated us, like trash. You say we turned on you, but you turned on us. You turned on the whole Beard family. He let you into his home, loved you, honored, obeyed you, and you violated him and murdered him. You are guilty. Shame on you.
Celeste is sentenced to 2 40-year prison terms and won't have the possibility of parole until she is 79 years old. Following on from the trial, Tracy asks if she can talk to the twins privately because she wants to apologise for what she has done. Apparently she was just very, 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 very sincere and apologetic towards the twins, saying that she really did feel guilty and really upset that she had killed their father. And the twins said that forgiving her for what she had done was such a huge thing and a huge step for them in their process for moving on. Like getting over things. Forgiving Tracy was something that needed to be done for them. That was quite the story. I just want to know why. Why did Celeste want to do this to her husband? Well, we know why she wanted to do it to her husband, because she wanted his money. But why did she also want to do it to her kids? And why did she hire somebody to then kill Tracy? Like, what was going on up here? We may never know. We may never know. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe. Hit the like button if you liked it. Also, turn on the little notification bell. Lets you know when I upload. Love you, bye.